Dental student loans are the worst. I'm guessing that if you're watching this, you probably still have dental student loans to pay. I've been talking with a bunch of dentists about how stressed they are now that the interest is building back up again. Student loans have gotten out of control and the interest is crazy. I don't personally understand if all these loans are federally backed, why can't they just decrease the rates or at least be a little more forgiving on the interest for people entering high value positions that we need. I'm hoping something will change because you hear about these dentists, they're getting out of school right now with $500, $600, or even $700,000 in debt. And they're going to have a very not fun next decade of their lives. It might still be worth it for them, but it's definitely not going to be fun. So if you're out of dental school and you have a few $100,000 of debt, then honestly, it's probably not the biggest deal. You can probably still live a basic, reasonable quality of life while paying that off. But if you have a lot more debt than that, you're going to need to do something different and atypical to get yourself back on track. You absolutely need to massively lower your quality of life expectations. You're going to need to house hack, share rooms, and have little to no rent. You're going to need to find a way to not spend much money on food, and you're deliberately going to have to make some major sacrifices to get yourself back on track. The problem is that many of these dentists coming out of school have a skill set that is so far away from what's required to actually earn money. It's kind of scary. I was trying to think back, if I just got out of school and had $700,000 in debt, what would I do? That's so much debt that this is not a short-term issue. You have to have a really strong skill set to pay that kind of debt off and still maintain a quality of life. I would start day one by focusing on developing the greatest skill set possible. I'd find a job or position in a practice that makes you very uncomfortable. I'd move to a state where the population is booming and find a dental mill that makes you work 50 to 60 hours a week, doing as much dentistry as humanly possible. I would do that for 2 to 3 years. The goal during that time would be, of course, to pay as much down on your debt as possible, but mostly you need to get 10 years worth of dental experience in just those 2 to 3 years. When you leave that situation, you need to be fast and efficient at fillings, crown and bridge, extractions, all forms of root canals, and towards the end, you need to be starting to get proficient at dental implants, any ortho or other procedures that you can mix in as well. You need to develop 10 years worth of skills and experience in 2 to 3 years. Most dentists grow slowly, gradually adding procedures little by little, and then they end up in a PPO practice that doesn't give them enough reps to actually get really good. If you have that much debt and you want to make your career worth it, you do not have time to go down that slow path. After those 2 to 3 years, your second move will be to get yourself into a position where you can pay down your debt aggressively. Now, where can you do that? If you're going to join and work in a private practice, make sure you're replacing a doctor who is producing at least $80,000 a month, so you know that the production is there. Don't join a practice without a history and track record of being able to produce. You can't throw the dice on this because you don't have time. You have too much debt. In a perfect world, you need a practice that has a history of producing $80,000 a month or more, and with your additional skill set, there's upside for you to grow further. Also, the more new patients the practice has, the better. Sometimes you might get lucky and find a more rural fee-for-service practice with a track record of lots of patient flow. That'd be amazing. That should be your goal, and while you're still going to need to live a very basic quality of life for the next 3 to 5 years, you should be able to pay off your debts before the 10-year mark. If not, you're going to have to buckle down and work hard to pay off your loans by your 10th year. Is it going to be fun to slave away for the first 8 to 10 years out of school, only paying off your loans? No, it's not going to be fun. You're the one who really wanted to be a dentist, and you're the one who went to the school that required you to take on that much debt. Unfortunately, it's on you. These are consequences that you face, and this is what you need to do to become a dentist. If you approach this with the right mindset, you can still make it totally worth it. Many dentists expect the first 10 years of their career to be a time when they start making a ton of money and enjoy a better quality of life. But that should absolutely not be your expectation. Everyone's career has different seasons, and your first 10 years of your career is likely going to be a winter or maybe just a little bit of spring. If you have the right mindset during these first 10 years, you can survive it and come out stronger. But if you expect to make a lot of money and be wealthy right out of the gate with that much debt, It might be possible for a few, but not for most. In this situation, the right mindset is that you're going to have to work pretty hard for 8 to 10 years to pay off your dental school debt. You're paying to acquire and develop skills that enable you to help people. Because of your debt, it's very likely that you won't make tremendous financial progress during this time. And guess what? That's actually okay. What you should focus on is developing and building the greatest skill set of any dentist you know. The price you're paying for the first 10 years is to develop the greatest dental skill set ever. If you go into it with those expectations, and if you end up making a little more money than you expect, even better. But remember, your first 10 years are your building years. You are paying off your school debt and developing this incredible skill set. The great thing is that as your skills improve, paying off your loans may be easier than you think. And once your loans are paid off, you'll have this incredible skill set that means it doesn't really matter where you go or what you do, you'll be able to excel. You may want to buy a practice, start up your own, or keep working where you are, but you'll be poised and prepped for whatever comes next. So much of our happiness comes from the expectations that we set. And so often these expectations are just not realistic given the situation at hand. Obviously, if you worked hard to become a dentist, you did that for financial stability and success. But if your loans are out of control, you have to understand that it's going to require sacrifice to get things squared away. The good news is that you can be a practicing dentist for 30 years or more, even if you have to spend 10 years paying off your debts and not really establishing yourself financially. It's not ideal, but you can still make this whole thing work and have a fantastic career. What you can't do is take the slow, stagnated approach to gaining your clinical skills like a lot of dentists do. You can't do that. You need to take on the hard stuff, push yourself, and learn from as many people as you can. You need to gain 15 years worth of experience by year 3 to 5. You must choose opportunities that enable you to expedite your skills. Many dentists I talk to are very hard on themselves and have a warped perspective of reality when they leave dental school. When I was in dental school, I don't think I fully comprehended how hard it would be to pay back dental loans with after-tax dollars, especially when I was taking on so much debt. And if you have any friends who are congressmen, I completely don't understand how they don't let us use dental school loan and tuition dollars as a tax deduction. They should be 100% deduction. If it were possible to deduct your loans from taxes, it would be dramatically easier for everyone to overcome this huge obstacle. So just to be clear, when you're looking for your first position out of school, you might have to live with family. You honestly can't afford much or barely anything for rent, utilities, and food. If you have that much debt, so that needs to be a major factor. However, you shouldn't choose your first job based solely on who gives you the highest pay or which one you think makes the most money. Your primary focus in your first position needs to be which office and opportunity will give you the best and fastest growth in your dental skill set. This is going to be way more important than a slightly higher guarantee. You need reps and you need opportunities to do new, hard, difficult procedures that in the future will be higher margin and help you pay off your debts and rebuild a strong financial foundation. So anyway, I don't want this to be overly depressing, but I want to be realistic. If you're in a position of extreme debt coming out of school, this is how you should approach it. And if you do, then yes, you can make it work, but it's going to require some shortcuts, harder work, and more sacrifice to help you regain everything you lose while paying off this extreme debt. If that doesn't seem doable, I guess you could always marry someone who has money. If you're struggling with your dental loans, or if you recently paid them off, comment below and try to give some hope to all the dentists out there that are just coming out of school with extreme amounts of debt. Let's work together to keep making dentistry fun, fulfilling, and rewarding. Stay tuned for more.